Una. Yan. Yan. Sige, pairam ko muna. Bakit may tira ka calling doon, Jason?
Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to the Cordillera Textiles Project and in our monthly webinars. So this morning we will have special team working on weaving and the community for this session. We would like to welcome our guests for this morning, Nina Poblador Tesoro, DK Katigbak, and Raffy Tesoro. So they are the people, the project team behind the Masda-Aw. This is a new project based in Kalinga with a confluence of different creative activities such as weaving, natural dyeing, and others. No? So without further ado, we would like to welcome the team with us today. Good morning. Hello. They are currently in Kalinga at the moment, working with the community for the past 3 weeks already.
Yes, thank you, Doc Egan. Good morning, everyone. Can you see us?
We couldn't.
Okay.
Ayan. We're going to share our slides now. Hi, everybody. Hello from Tabuk Kinwa Center, Training Center in Bolanao, in Tabuk City, in Kalinga. We're just sharing our
Okay.
slides.
Nina, there's some, can you speak louder? The audio cannot be heard.
Okay.
So while they're working on that, the Corditex have a website, a flash on the screen, where you can see the activities, updates, research, and of course, our series of webinars on weaving, textiles, and many more. So if you missed our webinars, you can take a look at that. And we also have a Facebook page. We have updates here of different activities, the participation of the Corditex in the recent conference in Norway, the 30th anniversary of Trond, the inventor of the digital loom, and also for our workshops and other activities of the Corditex. So this is the project I'm referring to. It's called the Masda-Aw project, Kalinga X Manila, and you have here the different participants. And we also would like to acknowledge the donors and sponsors for this particular project. Okay.
Okay.
Can now
Can you hear
start.
me better now, Doc Egan? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, but the
Yeah.
audio is faint.
Okay, great. So while we're looking for slides,
Do you have a speaker? Microphone?
we can hear you.
Ito, hindi kailangan.
Put it closer.
Ah, there. Okay.
On the big speaker. That's on speaker. Please go. Has to be closer though. We can't hear.
Dito magagaling yung sound sa may lapel.
Yeah,
Yes.
The speaker.
Hi, sorry, madami, kaya it's a situation. But anyway, okay, welcome back. Thank you again to the Cordillera Textile Project. under project manager, Dr. Annalyn Salvador Amores, who is also a major partner of our Masda-Aw community engagement project here in Tabuk City in Kalinga. So thank you for having us today. My name is Nina Tesoro-Poblador. I am the project manager, as well as I have about a dozen creatives from Manila that we were with in the past week, as well as, of course, our 25 weavers and artisans from the Kalinga Indigenous Weavers Association under Manang Florence. Manang Florence, say hi. This is Manang Florence. And then we also have creatives from Manila that I will show right now. Grace is handling our slides. Grace is our research assistant. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is our poster. So as Doc Eakin mentioned, we have some very important patrons also to mention. So Masda-Aw is essentially a community engagement art project with upland and lowland creatives to drive confluence through curiosity. So it's cultural evolution, and we will share in a bit what our framework is kasi research din po ito. So we have a number of activities under Masda-Aw, which is primarily weave innovation with the weavers of Quinoa. And then we had an outsider craft community day at the Tabuk District Jail, here also in Kalinga. And then on October 1, we have a showcase at the National Museum with the Philippine Fiber Industry Development Authority. And then also we are working with Corditex on the Masda-Aw case study, which is a publication to update the Katutubong Kulay project of the Katutubong Filipino Foundation in the 90s. So we'll talk more about that. But before that, we'd like to thank Australian Aid, of course, Mercedes Zobel, Manila Bulletin, of which our editor of the agriculture section is here, Yvette Tan. And then Adobo Magazine with Angel Guerrero. Of course, Corditex and UP Baguio, and the fashion design and merchandising program of the College of St. Benil. So here we go. Let's go for the first slide. Okay, just a quick introduction. So how did this happen? 2 years ago, so 2 years in the making po ito, there was a call for grant proposal, no? So, and the theme was curiosity. So this was the first of the Benilde Open, the first call for art projects, no? For by the Benilde College. So we wanted to try to get into that because at the same moment, Armel Banasan, who is our host also here, a community elder from Pasil, who also has a seat in the council now. He won in the last election, so he's Councilor Banasan of Pasil, invited us to come up to Kalinga and engage with the local creatives here because he felt that Kalinga needs to open up more to the outside world, no? So we were very interested in doing that with him. And since my brother Raffy and I, Raffy, just say hi, we're the children of Patis Tesoro. So our mom is called the Grand Dame of Philippine fashion, but also she's done a lot of revival, and one of which was natural dye. So in the 90s, you can see the cover of her work and the work of her foundation, the Katutubong Kulay Project, which is the revival of Philippine natural dye. This was in 1998, if I'm not mistaken. That's when it was published. And since then, we're very happy to see that a number of artisans and communities, because of the Tingdian model. So this publication shows the model of the Tingdians in Abra. So those were the first communities that the Katutubong Filipino Foundation started working with, no, in the 90s under the Ramos administration. And their model is now what was developed by the Philippine Textile Research Institute in the 90s. So since then, we're grateful to see that there are a number of people who are interested, designers, entrepreneurs, creatives, and communities who are now looking at natural dye more than ever before. So my brother and I were like, since this is what we were doing since we were children, like we said, we have an invitation to Kalinga. We said maybe we can work with the weaving community there because he was able to do it through Mahalina Foundation pre-pandemic in 2018. During the pandemic in Ibaan, Batangas, and that innovation produced pure cotton weaves with the master weavers of Ibaan, Batangas using natural dye, which was a very popular feature, new product feature in the Habi Textile Council market of that same year, no? So we felt like maybe this is something that we can continue in Kalinga, hence Masda-Aw, which means curiosity in Ilocano. So we also, apart from the weavers, we also work with the inmates of Tabuk District Jail. And you can see the woven products next to the book cover, no? Those are all made by the women and the men of Tabuk District Jail, which we had an engagement with last Sunday, right? August 24th. So that's what we will be talking about for now. But I would like to share just a few slides about our research philosophy. Dr. Ikin, if that's okay, because Grace and I have worked on this as part of my dissertation proposal. So I'm also running my dissertation while while we're doing this community engagement. So two birds with one stone. So I'll move my mic to Grace so she can talk about these slides for the audience. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So part of the program is of the Masda-Aw is a case study, which also represents the dissertation of Ma'am Nina. It is entitled as Creative Authenticity in Cultural Industry. So at first, it's really difficult to think what is creativity because creativity is naturally difficult to define. So actually, when we think of creativity, it's something that we put at someone as divine or like someone is out of this world. But what really makes a creative? So this study looks at how can ordinary creatives produce extraordinary output. This research would like to define the process of Kalinga textile weavers and artisans through product innovation, which is seen in the lens of their lived experience. On the other hand, it also wants to see the creative process of Manila artists and fashion industry professionals, which are invited here, also to see their product innovation in their live experience. And then through the defining both of the Kalinga textile weavers and artisans, as well as the Manila artists and fashion industry professionals, it aims to define the nexus between these two groups of creatives in order to develop an endemic brand of authentic Filipino creativity. So next, we will be using three major frameworks. First would be Csikszentmihalyi's systems view of creativity. Next would be Dino's creative innovation and entrepreneurship domain, which says that creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship are intertwined. Lastly would be the brand equity pyramid, wherein we wanted to enhance the branding of our partner, Kalinga Indigenous Weavers Association. Our management principle would be reliant on the social and ecological thought management, or what we call as SET. It aims to highlight the importance of virtue and seeing the purpose of business, not really on the most money aspect, but helping the communities, such as the indigenous communities. Also, we also wanted to highlight the indigenous earth wisdom since we are in the Cordillera. We're in the, let's say, the most that we could get from the book as a summary is the indigenous earth wisdom talks about living simply in harmony with the world, and also land is for subsistence. And the forest serves as the pharmacy, and all we get, and also we needed to respect the animals, the plants that sustain all of us. I would like to give the floor again to Mabina to further introduce the other parts of the project.
Okay, sorry, Gracie's a little nervous. Can you go back to the first slide, Chicks and Mihai, just so that I can give a quick background. So I just like to share, and I've shown this to Doc Eakin before, pre-pandemic. I presented this in a UP conference, and this framework I found in a book on creativity in Romania. So it just so happens that the author of this framework is Romanian. So I was drawn to this framework because it wasn't one of creativity that was too quantifiable. I wasn't really into measuring creativity. What I needed sana was more like a description of it. And this framework fit my experience of creativity as my brother and I know it, being luckily surrounded by creatives given the context that we were born in. And that context na is being the children of Patis Tesoro, but also of our father, Tito Tesoro, who, our late father, Tito Tesoro, who founded Tangalang Pilipino. So my brother and I think uniquely, were exposed to both the fashion industry and the theater industry, and this was back in the late 80s to the 90s. So we felt like trying to measure creativity would not really be helpful in what we wanted to do, which was to find creative authenticity, because our mom kept on asking us, or asking herself, why is it quite difficult for me to draw out creativity, unique creativity in the artisans that we work with across the country, right? Because of course, these artisans, they are knowledgeable and very, what do you call this, immersed in their traditional aesthetics, no, which we all of course appreciate. But since my mom's a designer, right, and quite a, what do you call this, avant-garde one, so she was always seeking to redefine the use, no, of our traditional aesthetic, and also kind of make it her own. So this system actually is able to define the creativity of someone like Patis Tesoro, for example. So we have here a few elements, no, that I'd like to just briefly describe, which is the person in the middle, which is, let's just say, Patis Tesoro, and she is within a social system that she grew up in, no? So that is her shared environment, no? Where she went to school, who her parents were, who her inspirations were as she grew up and developed into this person. But also within the culture, she is also sort of like defined by a group of experts, right? And in her case, that would have been, for example, the Patrones de Casa Manila, which was a group of historians, antique experts, culture experts, no, back in the 80s, and they created a living museum experience in Casa Manila. So because of that group, she was able to create more Filipiniana, and in a sense revive Filipiniana with this group, right? Because they said Patis can help us in our mission, right? So that's how she was able to revive Filipiniana and Piña at that moment in the late 80s and the early 90s. So much so that she was able to change the culture in a sense. Also, from that time in the 80s and the 90s, she's been nominated twice for National Artist. So I guess in that sense, this framework sort of like works out for how we want to also figure out an easier way to define creativity in our context. So the next slide naman is a simple connection between creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship, which we want to adapt to Kinwa's situation, if you can see that, right? And then the next slide is, of course, since my brother and I, well, more my brother than me, is into fashion, we wanted to also sort of assist Kinwa in branding themselves in a more professional, more international manner. through the brand equity pyramid, which is something that I teach, right? Because I'm a teacher and so is DK. DK here is our expert, Diana Katigbak. She works with me as faculty of the fashion design and merchandising program of Benil. So we can move forward with the slides now. Okay, so this is the Kalinga Indigenous Weavers Association. We've been working with them since August 17, right? And Manang over here, can you see her? Yeah. Yeah, there she is. Manang, can you move a little closer to kasi hindi ko nakakita. Ayan, sige po. Can you give like a very brief history of quinoa for our audience? So this is Manang Florence, and she is our elder po, and also the founder of quinoa. Sige po, dito na lang kayo para hindi naman natin. So give us a brief history of quinoa.
Yeah. Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Astrid or Florence Awad. We've been on weaving since 2017 on the loom weaving, on the loom frame. But we have been a weaver since I was a kid. I was weaving. But on the loom frame, we started 2017. And we have been training kids, women, PWDs in the industry, which we have 5 barangays were trained during from 2017 to present. And I'm very happy that even if we are not TESDA or NC2, we could also share the skill we have because it's our passion and it's a dying industry here in Kalinga. So we want children also to experience or to go on this industry so that it will not die naturally. And I'm glad people have been very supportive to us, like Ma'am Nina and the Masda-Aw groups. And thank you very much because this is a jump start to a better or to be known dahil hindi pa kami kilala. But through this, we will go on global. And it's our first time to go on this training natural dye. And we are planning to go on cotton production or plantation. And I know that God is leading us to that because it's only a dream for me to have a cotton industry or plantation. But now we're forward ahead to dyeing. So I know I'm in the right track of my plan and the purpose. And thank you very much, Mamina. And let's do it.
Thank you very much, Manang Astrid. We're so grateful for her commitment and passion. That's one of the things that actually my brother and I learned under our mother-in-law, because we were asked, well, not asked, we were required to go around with her when she was reviving across the country in the early 90s, no? And we would come across communities, right? And she always told me, Nina, for this to work, you really need like one person who will be the critical mass of that community. And without that one person, it will fail. So not all the communities that Katutubong Filipino Foundation went into were successful, but those who had people like Manang Florence, right? The Tengians are doing well now. As you can see, they're in all the bazaars and also reviving natural dye. That was because of Norma Agaid, the matriarch of that clan. Manang Florence is the same. She is the matriarch of Quinoa. It's a weaving village here in Tabuk, and she started this, right? And she is the center of it. So if there's community engagement to be had successfully, it's because of the people like Manu Florence. May I have the next slide, please? Thank you too. Okay, so this is my poster, back again to this very crowded poster of logos and people. So you can see here Arnel Banasan, who is now counselor, and he was our host, right? He was the one who asked us to come up here. So of course, to be welcomed into a community, you have to be invited, right? So we didn't just come in here and say, hey, we want to do this. It wasn't like that, of course, especially to, of course, the Kalinga, right? And then we have Manu Flores, whom I introduced. And then when I thought about this with my brother, we said we needed like a whole product, like a complete product to leave, no? With the community and also as documentation for anyone else who wants to do this in the future, apart from the craft, right? So what was the system? What was the learning, right? So once again, we're so grateful that Corditex has and UP Baguio has agreed to be our partner in that publication, which is the Masda-Aw case study and update of the Katutubong Kulay publication. So therefore, that's why we have Yvette Tan to help us with the writing of that output and also the narratives of this story. And then Paul Mondok, we'll show you a photo of him later, was in charge of was in charge of teaching watercolor to the inmates in Tabuk District Jail last Sunday. So we were able to use natural dye extract from indigo to make art with. And then Sir Arnold, of course, is our cameraman. We needed like professional people and dedicated people to document with us for like quality images, no, so that we could communicate our messages very clearly. And then Tad Ermitaño is a pioneering sound artist and also a professor at the Fine Arts program of UP Diliman. And then Charmaine Centenero Camino is a thespian and artist. No, she's a showbiz personality. Also, she comes out in mga teleserye. And she wanted to engage first also in this community because of her projects in suicide prevention, right? And then of course we have MJ. Where are you? Can we show MJ Suayan? MJ Suayan there in the hat in the back is our professional fashion photographer because we needed one, right, to be able to brand quinoa properly in a global stage, no? And then my brother Raffy, you've met as our creative strategist. So all the product innovation that you see coming out of Masda-Aw is the product of Raffy's work and also Diana Katigbak. So without an expert in natural dye, we would not be able to update properly, right? So DK was schooled in Japan in indigo specifically, so she was able to help, no, in the she was a center point also of the transfer of knowledge to the weavers. And then of course Vanessa Tedesco. For you, Vanessa. There she is. She is our professional model. She's Venezuelan and is based in the Philippines. So thank you.
So you can see me.
Yeah, you're 12. Thank you. So there. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, let's talk about natural dye. I'll give the mic to DK if that's okay, because this is her expertise.
Thank you, Nina. Hello, everyone. And yeah, let me talk about one of the few things we're doing here and also central to all this Masda-Aw project, which is the natural dyes. So when Nina approached me about her idea and of wanting to use Philippine cotton and promoting it in a good and modern way. She first onboarded me to do natural dye testing and develop a palette of colors that you'll be able to transfer to the community. So of course, being housed in the NILs mainly as a textile teacher, we reached out to them and maybe we could figure out what the best approach was and how to design a program to transfer the knowledge to the community. So this happened in the first weeks of August. So a lot of us got together. Raffy, Grace was there, a few more creatives, of course Nina. And it was kind of an immersion as well. It was interesting because I mean, although, there's only a few of us who know how to really do the procedures in itself, it was a simulation how we would be doing logistically, and of course, with the pallets we will achieve on that day, and how it, translate once we go up here in Kalinga. So with that day, we basically was able to achieve a wide range of colors, not just in indigo, but we had 5 colors all in all. So we're on that day we worked with Atsuete, mango, talisay, indigo, and coffee. So we're quite happy with the results of that day, and we were figuring out which ones were the best to bring here in Kalinga. So let me go to the next slide. All right. Next slide, please. Alright. So fast forward, we're now here in Kalinga. I designed a very simple, um, like a simple way to introduce the natural dye process to the community. So mainly my goal was to be able to be able to transfer the knowledge and the principles of natural dyeing to the community, and for them to be able to appreciate the natural color palette we have, and for them to think of um ways to build on top of that knowledge I just imparted of them. So next slide, please. Okay, so these are just us in some of the samples of the working outputs that you see around here. So it was quite satisfying to see in the first few days, from having very little knowledge about natural dyes and how it's done. I sort of encourage them to learn as we go. So apart from having a bit of a theoretical discussion on where you get your natural dyes, why is it preferred, or why is there a resurgence of natural dyes, and how it's important, and also looking back to their culture. A large part of learning it is in the practical way and being participative in the ways to do it. So the whole of last week we focused on about 2 colors each day. And as we went along the process, I was very happy to see that they were also exchanging questions and realizing in the process that um, there's a wide world of color out there, and I really welcome their inquiries about what about this plant that is native to our place? Can we try this and that? And that was a very inspiring moment, and that made me realize that they're starting to understand this, and they're trying to get, I think, the spirit of what we're trying to do, because yeah, the beauty of natural dyes is that you can work with, what's around you, and you only have to know the basic principles of it. And although it's partly science and there's a method to it, it's also welcoming of intuition, experimentation, and artistry. So I think it's also natural for them to be learning these techniques as they are quite exposed to all the nature and the skills and creation. So that's a beautiful thing to see unfold in front of me, and it's changing ideas with them. We're very fruitful for me as a creative as well. So I learned something from them too. So next slide. Okay, so this is us making the indigo. I presented them an alternative method to prepare indigo wherein you can achieve as much as about 5 to 6 shades and using less toxic materials. And these materials are used in agriculture and stuff we can use around that they are familiar with as well, also connected to their culture. So this is one of the dyes they got to learn quickly, which is nice. So next slide, please. Okay, so this is the result of our first few dyeing sessions. We had experience with sweater, more indigo shades. Next slide. Okay. Oh, well, so that was it. So basically, the whole experience for me was, truly in the spirit of curiosity, was learning both ways. And it's a process, and I really look forward to what they do with the knowledge we impart of them. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, DK. Okay, Grace, can we go back to the weave innovation? Because Raffy here is in charge of the product innovation, and maybe he can share his experience with the weavers and also comparing it to his other communities, because he also works with we are still working with the master weavers of Ibaan in Batangas, and he's also working with Pampanga, Pampanga, Minalin, Pampanga, also basket weavers. Raf?
Hi, sorry, so you see us spindling here because we have so much thread. And we have deadlines to meet, so sorry, we're like spooling in front of you, but it also shows part of how meticulous and difficult the process is for natural dyeing. Of course, there are automations for this sort of thing, but until we reach a certain scale, it's not quite there yet. And of course, this is all part of the discovery process on how we can impart the knowledge. Actually, this is not imparting, it's reintroducing the knowledge to our tribal weavers, to our culture bearers, naturally. I speak louder, like this loud, okay. Sorry, because usually I shout, so I'm trying to modulate. So anyway, the better, okay. So, the way I work with weaving communities is first I assess their situation. If they had any original weave work left in their tradition, or if not, like in the case of Batangas, they completely lost their ability to do their traditional weaves, because it was replaced by transplanted weaving designs. So what we did there was we had to backtrack to their old work from their grandmothers and their forefathers and recreate that, but also so that there would be not just a sense of continuity, but also economic sustainability. I also provided them the means to design more contemporary work that's fit for today's market. So I don't know if we have any photos of that. I don't think we do not. But anyway, so that's why it's a different case study from, say, the Kalingas with Manang-Astrid, because they already have an established tradition. So I don't want to touch or repeat, not repeat, sorry, change their tradition so much as I would like to, because it's not my job as a designer to do that. It's my job as a creative strategist to make sure that there's continuity of their work and their tradition, while also exposing them to more contemporary designs, so they can make both side by side, right? Yeah, especially the new generation. That's also the other, I would like to say, advantage that a community like Kalinga have is they have continuity. Their youth are interested in their weaving, like versus say Ibaan, where we are actually looking and struggling to find replacement, and replacement weavers and also the new generation to take over, because nobody lives forever. But except for our culture and tradition.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to maintain here. So well, we can't show anything till the end of the week more like, but we're done. Oh wait, we have one piece that was kind of done, but right now we're making it into a ginamat, yeah, which is a yeah sure, which is a embroidered skirt. So this is I feel like it was a return to what they actually made back in the day. Just to give a bit of a background on why I say that, it's because prior to the industrialization of synthetic dyes, uh, this would be the kind of color palette or color selection you would have for them, for most tribal and indigenous weaves. But somewhere along the way during the Industrial Revolution and colonization of the Philippines, everything got shifted to synthetic dyes and synthetic fabrics, which in a way degraded a lot of their real tradition. It I wouldn't say they lost their way, but it was a diversion from their evolutionary growth as a culture. Because I will point out one thing. If you see this fabric, sorry, I'm stepping on it. It gave them a diversity of color that they didn't experience before. Because most of the threads available in the Philippines are a very limited uh, color variety. So, say for example, the Igorot weaves or the Northern weaves use the same red color as anybody from Visayas or Mindanao, which I would say adulterated their everybody's originality and identity. By being able to do things like natural dye and being able to control their shade, their gradient, and how they express themselves through colors, it's a return to what they were originally doing, I would think, right? So I hope it's nice. It looks nice. So this is we're trying to make a ginamat. I keep worrying if I say that correctly.
Yes.
Ginamat. Okay. So that's traditionally actually, you know what? Why am I the one doing the mansplaining? Hold on. Astrid should explain that.
Thank you. The embroidery is done by Odessa. Yeah, he's an expert of the skill in embroidery and also her children. So that's how we do the embroidery. When we in the yung
Scene.
yeah, yeah, we close it by putting an embroider there, yes, so that it will not be seen na nadugtungan po yun. So, only if you are doing that here in Kalinga, because it's a hard work really. And we are, it's good, the children are now going into that. And I'm very, very glad. That's why we are always asking children to come here and during their Saturdays where they do not have work to do some embroidery, to do beadery and also weaving. So we're transferring skills also to the young generations.
Thank you, Rana, for that. So she can see, like I said, I don't want to put a new touch, more like new options based on what they had in the past. So, and what I also teach is how to design, not my design. There's a difference. So, like my community in Ibaan, they now design their own work. And they just show it to me, it's like, hey, that's nice, or maybe you should work on this a little more. But never do I say it's like, this is mine, or you must follow my designs and my demands. But I also actively push for them to recreate what was lost. So we brought back the Kulambo, which used to be the mosquito in the style of netting and before plastic came around. And now I'm doing the checkers and striping, which is it's hard to describe. You have to see it, but maybe you can do that another day. Yeah, like Damian Domingo style. But here in the case of the Kalinga, they like doing this kind of embroidery with striping. And they also like to embed what I call weave work. So it's basically the embedded weave design. For this one, I asked for none, just so that we can highlight the quality of the striping and the way it was gonna be made into a ginama. But other than that, it should be just as how they like it. So our collaboration right now actually is, I talk to Manila Street and be like, hey, so what kind of colors do you want to work with? And then we look at each other and we like, so what kind of design do we do? But in the end, it becomes theirs, not mine. That's the whole point.
Okay, thanks, Raph, for that. So we'll go to the community day we had. And I'm wondering if Yvette, as our writer, can give us an insight on her experience that day. So that day was a whole day affair, and we had as a feature, Paul Mondoc, who is an artist. Sorry, he's not here. They left yesterday. There was a contingent that came in, there's Paul. And we can't also show pala, just to explain to the audience, the faces of the inmates because that's against the rules. But here's Paul looking at the work of the inmates in the morning workshop. And then here's an example of their work. So I was wondering if I could turn over this part to Yvette so she can talk about her experience of that day and also of interviewing Paul and her insights. Thanks, Yvette.
Thank you, Nina. Hello, everyone. I'm Yvette Tan. I'm agriculture editor of the Manila Bulletin and editor-in-chief of Manila Bulletin Agriculture Magazine. So I'm here as the writer, as a scribe. So I'm here to observe everything, take down everything, like document everything. For Community Day, so it was a break from the weaving, not much no weaving involved, but everybody trooped to the Tabuk Community Jail to for a day of art and singing and like crafting. We had Paul Mondoc who works with who does this regularly. He works with PDLs, people deprived of liberty, and he gives them art seminars. And I interviewed him. So I asked him about his impressions of what happened that day. And he said that one thing there was somebody who approached him who said that at first he didn't want to join the art activity because he didn't think that he had any ability, but after going through everything, even that person was surprised that he had this ability to express himself through drawing. Yes. And we also had with us Tanya Bretano, who is the sound artist. He demonstrated for everyone like how to make sound out of everyday objects. And what was great was off the one side where this group of PDLs who were making music with bamboo, and Raffy saw them and he was like, why don't you go on stage? So there was this spontaneous jam of PDLs with their indigenous instruments and Tad with his makeshift sound, and it was great. And suddenly, again, spontaneously, people started dancing. There was a dance circle, so the guests were dancing. Mana, did you dance? Mana was dancing. Like even some of the guards were dancing. It was great. I love how everything here is spontaneous. Everybody is so willing to express themselves in the community. And how everybody, like this was DK noticed this, that everybody knows the dance. Like if you ask somebody to dance, everybody knows how to do it, and everybody everybody wants to show you that this is what their dance is. Everybody here is so proud of their culture, and it's great that it's also translated into the weaves. So as Raffy mentioned, we're not here to tell them what to do. We're here to give them options because at the end of the day, we still live in a capitalist society, and we want the Kalinga weaves, which are gorgeous, to go beyond Kalinga, right? Like the world has to see this. The world has to know how steep each pattern is in history,
Mana, you said that each, like, some of the weavers here have created their own patterns.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit?
Yes. Yeah, you know, the Kalingas are skilled in weaving. So when you tell them to make things, they would combine colors with their own imagination. So it's done by them. So whenever they have something new, we would name them. We would name the work after them. Yeah. So there is the Dina's work, the Dina, and we express it like that. And it's Dina who made it. So that when somebody would order it, then we know whose work is that. So we will tell Dina to make that. We also have the Ina Gliss, and it's been a very good design, which was designed by our forefather for our weavers before. And the name was taken from because the weaver is Agnes. So we call the weave in Aglis. Yeah. So because you know, we Agnes in English and then uh Aglis in Aglis. Yeah, so that's how we do it, and we're very happy that the weavers are uh, very constructive in doing things, and they are also going on doing designs with our loom because we don't know how to do the loom. You only do the backshop, but now everybody is doing it now. Even in Lubuagan, where we said that Lubuagan would stay doing the backshop because it's our traditional work. And here in Tabuk, we will do the loom. But then everybody wants because it's commercialized, and we do more when we go to loom. For us in backstrap, we only do 6 yards in 3 days. While in the loom, we do 12 in one day. So it's a big gap. Yeah, and then they could earn more. Like Dina, he does 10 yards a day. So when we say 10 yards, 100 a yard, the labor is 100 a yard. So she's being labored 1,000 a day. Yeah, and that's big. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manik. So back to Community Day, I managed, while all of this was going on. Oh, we also had Raffy there to look at their basket weaving. And what did you think of the basket weaving?
Oh, it's actually really gorgeous. With a bit of tweaking, it actually can be pretty world class.
So good.
Yeah, it's made out of cocoa.
Materials are from here.
Yeah,
Yes, we do not buy from nowhere.
right, yeah, no, the materials are local, they're actually harvested locally, so it's made out of coconut grass, type of grass. But, oh, that's not it, but I can show this a little bit. So this is like a type,
That's bamboo.
this was made out of bamboo with rattan slits.
Done here
You
in
have to like stand up to really show it, I guess. But the innovation that we did here was we got their textile waste, and then we embedded it into the weave work of the basketry to give it a different dimension, and well, also find a way to use up all the scraps.
Upcycling.
Upcycling. So this is the first prototype. There's another one coming out, but this gives an idea of how we can do creative innovation with our traditional work.
And also during Community Day, I managed to go around while all the activity was going on. And the book City Jail has a lot of activities for their PDLs. So they have a garden, which I covered for my magazine. And they also do bags. They have a lot of nice bags, which are sold in different places in the community, and also in Kigwa.
Yeah.
So it was a very enriching and interesting experience, I feel. So back to you.
Thank you so much, Yvette. So we're being joined now with the Glam Squad. Can I see the next slide, please? Okay, just really quickly, I also want to reiterate that we would not be here without the invitation of the Kalinga elders. So Manang is our primary beneficiary as quinoa, right, from the Australian Aid and Mercedes Nobel grant. But this would not have happened without the invitation of Councilor Banasan. So that is Councilor Banasan. You can see him on the screen. And he is also a local celebrity as he is a folk singer, right? And he has a quartet and a cultural organization called Mingor Chi Cultura. So they regularly go to the Book District Jail for Community Day. So that's why we felt like, not felt, but we had to really have this day with them because I would not run the grant without their involvement. That would be really strange and disrespectful, right? So we definitely wanted Mingor Chi Cultura to be part of this, to also engage with the Manila creatives and the Manila creatives then engaging with their community in the Book District Jail. So may I see the next slide, please? Oh, okay, so these are some products. I mean, we would like to show how our fashion shoot went, but our fashion photographer here, MJ Suayan, right? We'd like to ask him what his experience was of coming into Kalinga with Vanessa, of course, to help us brand the new products developed by our team, right? In such a particular manner that would be palatable, right? To the rest of the global audience. So MJ?
Hi, it's not every day that you shoot these precious pieces, so I'm very much honored to be part of this project, and I guess I want to do this thing. I want to be part of Nina's projects. That's it.
Thank you, MJ. Also, Vanessa. Vanessa actually is what Raffy, okay, apart from Raffy doing all these things, he also has another hat, right? So the story is I grew up in theater, so that's why we have Shamaine with us. But Raffy, when I was growing up in theater, Raffy grew up in the fashion industry. So he actually learned how to train models. And so Vanessa is one of our models that Raffy is working closely with to become a cultural influencer. So you can find her in Instagram as Vanessa Tedesco, and she is actively posting stories about her experience here in Tabuk. And yesterday we went to Pasil, which is the hometown of the councilor and paradise, right, Vanessa? So could you talk a little more about your experience here in Kalinga since you came in?
Hello, Vanessa here. Thank you, Nina, and everybody for including me into this project. I have been traveling the Philippines for a while now, and I usually go to the islands and I love showcasing on my socials what is it to like live here or just go around here in the Philippines because I love it here. So coming here, it was a really great experience to realize how other people live out of Manila. Like I could see it when I was going to the islands, but it was still like a luxury kind of vibe. So coming here, shooting here, and experiencing everybody and how people live, it so far is really good. And I'm excited to finish all my edits and really post it on my feed and showcase to the people that follow me and also those that they don't follow me, but they will, or they just see my feed how people live here and how they are. I mean, with the simple things they have, they really make a lot. And I love that. So yes. Yes, of course. So thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. So apart from all the weaving innovation that we've been doing and the community engagement at the jail, we also involve the new generation, the next generation. So Danielle here is Manong Flores. Danielle, dito ka ba? Parang dito ka. Stand up na lang here behind. Ayan. So come here. Sorry. There's so madami. So Danielle here, hi, is Manong Flores' son, and he is the in-house fashion designer of Quinoa. So he has his own line of fashion for the house, right? And he also helped us with the production aspect of the branding because we felt like we needed to collaborate, right? Very closely, of course, with Quinoa, and Danielle represents their branding at this point. So apart from Danielle, we also invited two local models to engage with Vanessa and MJ and Raffy so that they have a complete experience of how fashion is created, right, as a brand from the perspective and experience of the Manila professional. So can we ask Daniel to talk a little about his experience with Masda-Aw?
My experience was so interesting, amazing, and fun because I was so amazed with of how they work, of how do they drape like sinulid pa lang yun, and then they drape and they drape it in the model's body. It was so interesting, like nakakamangha po siyang panoorin kasi sa simple lang na sinulid, we can make out like pang international na photo na talaga. And yung napansin ko pa, yung mga weirdest place pa, yung mga sa indoor, like indoor sa mga kitchen, sa backyard lang, pwede na pala yun na pang-shootan um, ng mga poses, gano'n. And then, yun overall, amazed talaga ako. No words can explain my yun na overwhelmed talaga ako. And then, ang babait ko nila, like, I am teaching a lot from them, yung mga knowledge nilang ni-impart sa akin. I am so thankful, guys. And more workshops with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. So, what's the next slide, please? Here we are, just to give an overview, no, of our experience. This is research rin kasi, no? So it's important for us, thanks to our cameraman, Mr. Amores, right? He kept on reminding us that we need to do our interviews because Grace and I need material for the study and also for the publication. So you have here photos of those interviews. We not only, of course, involve the core group. So the core group, of course, is our writer, our creative strategist, our natural dye expert, our model, of course, Kinwa, right, and Lingor Cultura, and our photographer, right? But also the people that wanted to exchange who they themselves were creative. So you see here Shamaine, who was also interviewed about her experience. Next slide, please. And then we have here Carol in the pink terno coat. She is a local of Pasil, but you can call her the tour guide. She really knows Pasil like the back of her hand and is so into their culture and is also a producer of beauty pageants. So we were interested in seeing how she could engage, no, with our Manila professionals in that aspect, right, of beauty and culture and tourism. And then, of course, we've met Daniel. And then we have Manang, of course, that we are our major resource, right, for this study. Who else, Gracie? Of course, Vanessa had to be part of this, right, our center point in terms of branding. And then we have Angel and Gabrielle, so two young body models. I mean, when they're, the Kalinga are so good looking, right? So it's quite easy to shoot them, right? So they were, I would say, put through a boot camp of sorts because we didn't have a lot of time, and the way fashion people move, they're very quick, right? They have to adapt to whatever environment and elements are given to them at that moment. And these guys, these kids were able to follow through and were really excited about the experience that we just sort of like were able to put together. When you put together these things, you don't really know what's going to happen, right? You cross your fingers, you hope that you're able to get the right people. And of course, the commitment of those people is what is really necessary in terms of community engagement. So we're lucky that we were able to get this kind of standard of professionals and this kind of standard of community that we're able to collaborate together. So next slide, please. Okay, so that's our last slide. Though we can is that okay? I'm sorry, were we able to present to Doc standards.
Okay, so thank you very much for that wonderful presentation, no? And of course, it's good to meet everybody in the project team. You covered a lot from natural dyeing, there's weaving also, embroidery, basketry, and fashion, no? So the coverage is too many, no? And that is quite interesting also to see the engagement of the community. Now we open the session with our questions from the audience, no? So you can just type in your questions in the chat box if you have questions. And then I have initial questions for the presentation. Okay, so I'm interested to know, with regards to the natural dyes in Kalinga, were you able to look at, for instance, vintage Kalinga textiles to understand, let's say, the earlier natural dyes that were used, no? So this is addressed to DK and Manang Florence, no? In terms of the control, no? I mean the vintage textiles in understanding that, and also this new, I don't know if it's new dyes, are this available in the Kalinga community?
Well, if our process most likely is what happened here before we went is that we had a set already of dyes where Nina wasn't able to procure. So we already have the indigo, atsuete, mango, coffee, talisay, in which some of them were also sourced here, particularly the mango and the talisay. So, and the good surprise was, while we were here, we also found mahogany, which is, endemic to them, which is just around the area. So that was the good surprise out of all of this. So, because, alongside with Raffy, who would keep us in check, of what the palette we already had was, we needed the red element to look back at their culture to also represent the red. There are so many sources still that we have to find. But basically, we tapped into what was nearby and asked them around as well to communicate what would their no, what is there around them that we can turn into color basically. But yeah, Man, I would also like to know your thoughts on how this went, or how do you think it would help you more?
Yes, thank you very much. This was really our first experience in doing the natural dye, and we were very happy because it's already here in Kalinga. The mahogany was very nice. The mango is very sweet. Yeah,
So
yeah.
this
And
natural, no?
we have lots of things to discover here where we also gathered the guava, and we're going to try it today. Yeah. And as for the culture, we can still have our culture color, but when we go out, because we are attending trade fairs, they always ask us if we have other color than the red, because we always bring red there. And they will say, do you have any color than the red? We're fed up of your red. You are all red there, and can we have other colors? So this is for the global escapade when we go to Manila or other places. We're good. But for sure, we're not going to remove our red color. If we can find other plants that would give us the red color, then it would be very nice to do the natural dye red for the men here, because the problem here is our the thread we're using, the poly is hot. Uh it's not yeah, and they want it to be cotton. So they're always asking, uh, you're doing cotton. Did you make cotton or silk? And we're not yet ready for it. And thank you very much for introducing this so that we can start doing it. Thank you.
To address Doc Eakin's question about looking at artifacts and seeing how these can be adapted or used as inspiration for new innovations. I was talking to to Manang about that. We brought up Sinaunang Habi, Doc Ikin, and we were also actually invited by Evelyn and Forbes to look at her old weaves, except my brother and I were like caught up in the flurry of the craziness of preparing for this, because when we found out that we were going to actually be able to run this, we had to run it within the next 6 months, because that was the time period given to us by the patrons, right? So as much as we wanted to look more into how this was practiced in the past, we only had pictures to look at. So we had Sinaunang Habi to look at. I mean, Manang has some heirlooms, but generally she said, as we were asking her about their actual practice of natural dye back in the day, to her memory, it seems that they always were buying colored thread. Yeah, to her memory. So, and so far as Manang's generation is concerned, Doc Ikin, they haven't died, no? They haven't been dying in their reading, which I'd like to also mention, we are very grateful that Corditex will help us with in our publication. So, thank you, Doc Ikin. So, yun po. Yun po. And then also, I'd also like to thank again the new Chansey for accommodating our request to test the chemical composition of the natural dyes through the University of the Philippines infrastructure. We're very grateful for that and excited for that. So there, that's our answer. Thank you.
Yeah, so you have the reference in the Unang Habi, and you have heirloom samples of the vintage textiles, no? So if you would recall, there are also old samples which are dated 100, was made 100 years ago, and the color is still very vibrant, no? Although faded, but you can see that the colors are still very vibrant in vintage Kalinga textiles. Okay, so there's a question here that was sent to me about the use of cotton threads, no? And they are asking where is the source of the cotton? I think this was mentioned that it came from Ilocos. And how did the team dealt with this use of cotton? We know that cotton is very delicate and it easily breaks, no? How did you address the challenges in the use of cotton and also the color absorption of the natural dye? So,
Okay, thank you again for the question. We'll start with Raffy to answer the quality of the cotton transition. Actually, he has more experience with that since the Ibaan case study.
Hello. Okay, so it's been a complicated process actually to get it to where it is now. When we started working with Philippine cotton, local cottons around 4 years ago, it was very brittle, extremely brittle. But thanks to some advances within government agencies, processes, SIDA and PTRI, it is a lot less brittle now. I mean, still a bit sensitive, especially when you consider the fact that, and I just say this across the board with all of the weavers that I work with, since they're so used to polyester or polycotton, they find that cotton is a very delicate thread for them to work with. But given time and guidance and effort, they get used to the qualities of cotton. So that's one. But we also help the process by I got an Indian process, which is we starch the thread after we finish the dyeing process. Then we wash it in starch, and we let that dry. So the starch actually strengthens the thread, ready for weave work. And what else did we do? There's still a lot of improvements to be made on the cotton. So like right now, I consider it rough spun because the grading process doesn't exist yet for Philippine cotton. Once that comes into play, then we can do different kinds of thread. But for now, I would say this is a fairly rough spun thread. DK, you have anything to add?
So for the, color absorption part, well, it's my first time actually dyeing with Philippine cotton, which is also an honor. I think depending on the dye stuff you use, the challenge here, because it's yarn, it's the evenness in dyeing. But with regards to it, taking in the color, I think it's great. The expected results were achieved based on what you would expect from mordants. I'm particularly happy with the indigo. It took in many shades, even the subtle ones. So, well, I think we could work out as well, like how to process for better texture after, but the starching of Raffy makes for a better color and sturdier after processing when you respun the threads. So in my experience dyeing other materials, it's quite up to standard. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
Did you
back to starching. Sorry, I'm sorry, Doc. I just wanted to say that we should also consider looking at returning to starching clothes in general, because the starch protects the fabric. That's why if you look at the old fabrics, a lot of them are more well preserved than even a t-shirt you bought 3 years ago. Because we used to starch everything and it protected the fiber much longer. I just wanted to point that out.
so did you use single ply of the thread or a double ply?
Double ply.
Double ply. For the weaving also is double ply for the warp and weft.
Look, the current batch that we have now that was given to us is, I think, double ply, but Philfida just showed us a new one that is a single ply and looks quite promising. We haven't been able to use it yet, but we hopefully will soon. And we can report on that as soon as we find out.
But
Okay.
Mama was the one who went to Ilocos, Doc Ikin, to pick up 300, well, actually 150 kilos initially, and then they delivered the balance. So we are dyeing and weaving 300 kilos of cotton grown in Ilocos, no manang. So actually, Doc Ikin, if people are looking for supply, there is supply. According to the new Undersecretary of Philfida, Ali Atienza, we happened upon each other at the Ibaan Batangas Weavers Center that Senator Legarda had just launched last month. Tama ba, Ra? Last month. Yeah, so we happened upon each other, and as fate would have it, we're old friends, right? So Undersecretary Atienza told us how he was able to triple production of all our, well, abaca primarily and cotton, because he was able to find where the inefficiencies were in terms of producing cotton yarns. So now we have cotton, whereas before we didn't know how to find cotton, where to find cotton, who to ask cotton from. But now Ilocos has it. Mana, which center did you go to, nga pala? Ilocos Sur, Tilfida?
Yeah.
Tilfida and Ilocos Sur.
Yeah. Two cooperatives, that is the way.
There are two cooperatives that are doing, and I'm sure Corditex knows, two cooperatives are producing cotton yarns in Ilocos.
Okay. That is
Akala mo naman sunod di Kalinga.
yeah. Okay. We have a question from Mild Hombre Bueno from NVSU. Okay. She said, "Thank you for sharing such a wonderful collaboration with the IP community." She's wondering if you applied for FPIC in the process of project documentation. Thank you. FPIC is the free prior informed consent. From
Yes po, we visited, what office did we visit? We visited for the office that you asked for research, permission from, here in the National Commission on Indigenous People, NCIP. We went po to them to, introduce our work and ask for their permission properly, of course. Thank you for that question.
Okay. So we have other questions also. So this entire project, will this outputs or products be locally available also, not only to the international market? And
Yeah.
what deliverables or products are we looking at from the natural dye, the embroidery and weaving specifically?
Okay, well, so the entire process, we're right now working on the systems to create the cost matrices for the dyeing processes. So once that's done, this weaving center under Manang-A Street, people can actually order naturally dyed thread. There's always been a misnomer, and not really, on how fabric and textiles are dyed in the Philippines. Most of the time, anything that is naturally dyed is dyed in the cloth, more often than not. Which creates, in my experience, a somewhat more difficult maintenance process. They tend to bleed a lot more. So we have a lot of customers who say, "Oh, your colors are fading fast because they bled so much." But if you dye it in the thread absorbs much more of the color of the dye source, making it much sturdier, and the longevity of it is quite good. Now, when it comes to creating other products, yes, so I usually work with the communities in creating a matrix of products. So they have finished goods, and then semi-raw materials, meaning I would like them to make more bolts of cloth for other designers to use. There seems to be a scarcity of local bolts because most of the weaving communities have been indoctrinated into making finished products, which, in my opinion, isn't their strongest suit. They should be concentrating on making raw materials alongside with their finished products so that they can one, have a wider market, and second, so that end users such as designers or other creatives can have full access to the raw material. Because like right now, if you want to have any weaving done in terms of pure fabric, you have to order it specifically. But case in point, when we did that with the Mahalina Foundation for Batangas, we made bolts. I made around 5 or 6 bolts of cloth, and at around 50 yards each, and we sold it for around 800 to 1,200 a yard. The first thing people were saying was when we were working on it was, "Oh, it's so expensive." I was like, "No, just watch." That was the first thing that got sold. Actually, when we got to the hobby fair, the 2 designers just ate all of it up, around 300 yards worth. So that's the key, actually. The weaving center should focus more on making raw materials for other creatives, but not also discounting that they can make finished products themselves. Where it will be available, we're looking at spaces right now where we can put them online for not just for Manang-Aspi's community, but for several other communities. And I mix it in with regional goods like food, other crafts. So we're working on that, and it can also be available online on Manasya. Do you have an online presence naman, ano? Yeah, so we have the online presence from the different communities. That's another place where it can be found. Here you go.
Actually, Dr. Kim, that's also one of the objectives of the grant, right? So we promised Australian Aid and Mercedes-Benz that we would assist in the marketing and distribution of these products. So right now we are looking at apart from being online, launching in Manila. And as I've mentioned, we are lucky to launch, but even if it's just for a day, right, at the National Museum. And our audience will be of a specific niche market, no, that will have access to these goods primarily. But then after that, we're looking at other strategically thought out distribution channels that are very craft oriented. So of course, my brother and I are the progeny of Salud Tesoro. So we are Tesoro's Philippine handicraft. So we're looking at putting in our grandmother's shop, of course, in Makati, and then hopefully in like museum gift shops, right? And specialty centers, because you know nga, since my thesis is creative authenticity, I'm curious to know that if these unique products, when they come out in strategically placed distribution channels, will be more efficiently sold to particular markets. No, not that I have anything against, well, no, I have a lot against knocking off. That's why my thesis is such. But yun na nga, parang kung ipagtatabi kasi yung souvenir sa luxury, parang there is confusion in terms of how the branding is. So that's why we are answering yes, that this will be readily available to whoever wants to buy it, but it will be in a particular retail experience. Hindi po namin ipaghahalo ang souvenir ng quinoa tsaka ang this new line that we're coming out with. Actually, we're still naming it under Quinoa's house, and we're naming this line Ombre because Daniel, who's Daniel? Wave again. Daniel's nickname is Ombre, and he's the in-house fashion designer of Manang. So he actually made a fashion line using the pastel textiles of Manang, because Manang made pastel textiles following the natural dye colors previous to us reviving these natural dyes with her. So she's aware that there is natural dye palette, right? And she made these beautiful textiles in cotton, not locust cotton, but pure cotton. And they weren't very popular with the locals. They were popular to, foreign market. So Ombre comes in and says, oh, I'll make a fashion line since hindi naman nabibili. Right? So he made a fashion line and that became more popular and easily digestible by a particular market as well. So we're seeing based on those initial activities na the pastel line has a distinctive market to begin with, even if it isn't natural dye yet. So those
Okay.
are our findings that we can.
All right. So thank you. We have three comments or questions, no, from Gay Shalsita. Hello, Gay. She said, for the problem of color bleeding out, fixatives can be used, no? So this is not a question, no, but a comment. Okay. Thank you, Gail. So we have a question from Julius Domingo. Do the Kalinga province have Philippine indigo plant?
Discovered yet. Yes, Ma'am Iki. We haven't, I don't know the plant really. Maybe if we could discover it, then we could plant it like the Abra is doing. Because I wanted also to go on cotton plantation, and then with the different colors that we need also.
So there's no indigo plant in Kalinga? Or you
Wala
can...
po. Well, we know in Abra there is because that's where it was revived, but DK actually has a little more information where indigo sourcing is.
So, indigo in the Philippines is only, well, to my knowledge, is grown in 3 areas. So up here in Luzon, we have Abra. The one we're using now is from Mindoro. And also we have in Bukidnon. So our partner, our source for the indigo is non-timber forest products. They're an NGO
who's pushing all these other products from different regions. So we are using local indigo and supporting other communities as well through this project. However, I was telling them the potential of indigo because through my studies, and that's why I also personally focused on it when I was taking up my postgrad in Japan. My exposure with the craft community or the artisan practice in Japan was that the textile industry there has their own ecosystem wherein the farmers, the dye makers, the weavers, the spinners, and also the designers or the businessmen all work together in a sort of circular and giving economy wherein they sustain each other. So there's no gender and everyone can participate in it. There's a lot of potential. And since we have indigo and it's known as our variety of indigo is known as one of the world's best varieties of indigo and very regenerative as well. I wanted to encourage them to be able to grow this if this is something they see potential in as well. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, DK. We have one more comment from Janice Cortez. She plans to work with IP communities for her dissertation for PhD in Development Studies in UP Los Baños, and she's currently working with other development enterprise and consultancy such as Hobby and Katcha PH, home of artisans bridging innovations to kindred social actions for transformations and sustainable actions in the Philippines. Are you open to the possibilities of collaboration?
Yes, of course. We are all about collaboration. Definitely all about collaboration and community engagement. So yes, Tapikin, we'd love to collaborate.
Yeah, so thank you. I was just thinking because there are also natural dyeing communities in Luzon and other parts of the Philippines, such as Abra, in Banged Abra. There's also Nardas doing natural dye. And we have one in Baguio also, si Kat Palasi. Maybe it's good to have this kind of dyer to dyer conversations or weaver to weaver, no? Conversations with them to learn from each other. For instance, because we can come up with the expanded list of what you have used for your natural dye. So currently there's five. Corditex have studied more than 13 natural dyes. So maybe you can look at our research and then maybe execute that no with the use of cotton in Kalinga or even in Ifugao also there's a very vibrant natural dyeing community there no so would you be open to like convene all of these natural dyers in one place no and then exchange notes.
Yes, of course. With Corditex.
Corditex.
It has to be with Corditex.
Okay, so we can do that. Okay, so we are running out of time. It's already 11:40 here. Would you have some last words and to our audience? We have audiences from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. We also have international audiences also that came in. We'd like to acknowledge them here. No, so very interesting audience. No, working on weaving or natural dyeing. No, so any last words? And
Oh, thank you. Yes.
website or where they can look at your work and the progress of your work?
So, first of all, we'd like to thank again Corditex and Doc Eakin for having us this morning. It's an honor for us to be considered a partner of Corditex. Not only just as my brother and I and our mother, right? We've been working with Doc Eakin for some time now, but now as a collective of creatives from both Manila and Kalinga and Baguio. Right, this is really what the future is. Actually, the future is today, right? And we are looking forward to collaborating with more communities to grow craft, right? Because we believe home economics will save the world, craft will save the world. There will always be like healing, no, and hope through craft. So our channels in terms of more information about this is, of course, thank you again, Manila Bulletin, for being here. Yvette is writing about us in her column, and then also will be put out in Adobo magazine of Angel Guerrero. But we have an institute and agriculture magazine, which is a monthly publication of the Manila Bulletin. And then we have our, for now, Instagram, which is called Pinagtagu, actually, and Masda-Aw, which was a previous project of mine in La Union during the pandemic. And then we have a Facebook page, actually, also called Masda-Aw and Curiosity in parenthesis, .uk. You're on mute po.
Have a comment from Ray Macapagal from UP Diliman. It's good to know this is really community engagement because there's so many of you in this project, so that's good to know. We look forward to the exhibition at the National Museum. Do you have dates for this already?
We have a date, which is October 1, which is an event actually of the Department of Agriculture. So I have to ask if the National Museum will let us stay there longer. But right now, definitely that 1 day event. And then the next time we are showing for a longer time period is in Benilde, when we launched the publication in August 2026. So, yes. Yeah. But yeah, that day on October 1 actually is a call for those who would like to design in a month's time para tayong project runway, because USEC Ali Atienza only has this amount of time, and DK is also helping us look for volunteer student designers or volunteer designers, doesn't have to be student of any age, that are willing to make 4 ensembles within 3 weeks with 3 textiles given by the Philfida. So you will be given yardage of abaca, pinya, cotton, right, and silk to make into 4 ensembles that will be part of a fashion show whose audience is the Agriculture ASEAN Diplomatic Corps. So we will be putting this out also in our channels, but sana Corditex will also help us look for designers, right? Because the amount of time is quite short, right? But with the beauty of the textiles, we're hoping that they can put something simple but elegant also, or even progressive, right? For that October 1 event at the National Museum.
Okay, thank you very much, Nina, and everybody, Masda-Aw project team, for sharing wonderful information, no, and this very exciting community project. So we thank Florence, Yvette, Raffy, Nina, and DK, and everybody. Thank you very much, and we look forward, no, to this output later on. Have a good day. So just to announce, we have the Corditex website. You can also watch a recorded, if you missed this one, you can also watch the recorded webinar and also the other webinars that are listed in the Corditex website. So here, okay, so we have this a series of webinars already. So this will be soon available, no? If the project team will give us consent to upload, of course, a recorded a webinar of this one. So here, so we also would like to announce that if you missed the webinars, everything is here. You can just click it and listen to the webinars at your own pace, no, and own time. So, and then we also have the Facebook page of Corditex. So we have here announcements and other activities that you can participate in. Okay, I think that's about it. We're over time 11:45. So thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank
See
you,
you.
Doggy. Thank you, Corditex. Thank you, Baguio. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.